Hello and welcome back to another video. When I did my full comparison video, I ultimately decided to sell the Xbox Series X. Today, I wanted to update that video by talking about the newest feature updates, for example, as well as explaining if I regret my decision or not. But before we talk about feature updates, I do want to go over some of the categories that we went through in the comparison video and update you guys on some of the changes. Starting with the controller. The controller is something I gave to Sony right away because the new features were just so nice on the PS5. But what I failed to really mention was the controller drift issues that we're seeing. And these are widespread enough to where I think I should have mentioned more of an issue. I, to this day, do not currently have an issue with controller drift. However, many people do. But the thing is, guys, Microsoft isn't innocent of this as well. They've also been dealing with related issues recently. So my stance on the controllers mostly stays the same. I just wanted to mention those points. Then we have games, and I did talk about Game Pass Ultimate in my comparison video. However, the thing I've missed most since going PlayStation exclusive is Game Pass. Game Pass Ultimate is the best deal in gaming. And because you can get it for $180 for 3 years when you upgrade your Xbox Live Gold membership, it just makes it a no-brainer for most. You'd be paying for online anyway. In addition, Game Pass, up until recently, has gotten even more AAA high-quality titles. There are so many games on Game Pass I loved playing when I was doing the Series S review, which made me lean towards using that a little bit more than the PS5 at the time. And in more recent news, xCloud, which is their game streaming service, is coming to iOS and the web, so you'll be able to take advantage of that with Game Pass Ultimate if that's something you were looking into. It's just a nice overall feature to have with all of the other benefits. As I mentioned before in the comparison video, the Xbox Series X has more raw horsepower than the PlayStation 5, but the PlayStation 5 has outperformed the Series X in a decent amount of titles. That gap actually is starting to narrow, and there are even more games with next-gen enhancements now on Series X. With that said, you can't ignore that the PS5 in many ways is outperforming the Series X. A key to this that I didn't mention in the previous videos is the developer tools were changed drastically for Microsoft, whereas with Sony they didn't change it much and they could optimize more. And some of the devs have said that these changes will likely be better in the long run for Microsoft, but we have to give it to Sony here because a good developer kit with the right tools will be able to outperform horsepower in many ways because of optimizations. Over time though, I think that the Microsoft kits are going to be just fine and the developers will get used to them, and that just means that there's going to be even more room for performance increases later on. Truly, I think these consoles are going to perform very similarly over time. I don't think there's just going to be a huge significant difference, but we'll definitely have to see. Ground up games are going to be very important in determining this. Alright, now we will take this time to discuss the news that has kind of changed these consoles a little bit over time. So quickly, the PS5 now has support for 1080p 120Hz monitors specifically, and I was able to use mine anyway and play at higher refresh rates, but it's just good to see full support for it, as well as a new cool setting for HDR where you can turn it on or off depending on if a title can use it or not. And then we have the most important thing for PS5, which is expandable storage. There was not really an option for the PS5 in terms of expandable storage on PS5 games. And now there is. But it is worth mentioning that this external storage solution only stores the games and you can't play it off of it. You would have to move the game over to the internal SSD in order to actually play the game. But we can still play PS4 games on these external storage drives. You can use an external SATA drive, an external NVMe, or just a regular external hard drive. And a lot of the games on SATA or NVMe perform very well. Now, what might be even bigger news than what we discussed is FidelityFx for Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S. FidelityFx is AMD's competitor to NVIDIA's DLSS, but it enables a bunch of features, such as variable shading, ray trace shadow denoiser, CAS, and more. A lot of these features can enable games to perform even better with little graphical compromises. If it's as good as we hope, of course. AMD has promised this for RDNA and RDNA 2 hardware, and I think this could make a big difference in the long run. Although it is not available for PS5 at the moment of this filming, the PS5 is marketed as an RDNA 2 device, and I think we will see it semi-soon. But these are the updates I wanted to cover. There is, of course, more news that I probably failed to mention, and there'll probably be more news in between seeing this and when it was released. Now, however, I wanted to talk about one of the main things, and that is if I regret my decision of selling the Xbox Series X. And that answer is yes and no, so let me explain. I think that both consoles are truly excellent, yet the Series X for me might have the slight lead. If you recall my video at all, or if you saw it, you would know that friends were part of the reason that I got the PS5, and that holds true today. Gaming is a very social event for many people, and more of my friends are on PS5 than Xbox Series, although I do have friends on both. In addition, I built a PC recently. Stay tuned for this PC build, by the way. I'm very excited to show you guys this. And my PC has played a big role in video editing as well as gaming. So the Xbox exclusives that I was missing, and even Game Pass to an extent, are things I can play without a Series X. So for my personal use, because I have a PS5 and a PC rather than an Xbox Series X and a PC, I think it's a better combo. However, if I didn't have a PC and only had one of the devices, I think I would actually go Series X this generation. Either way, I don't think you can make a wrong decision between the two. Like I said, they're both solid consoles, so I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope everyone is doing well, and peace.